everyone. How are you? I'm Ronit on the East Coast. Wiz K is on vacation. We are hopelessly unedited, but I have a guest to sub for Kate, and which you guys already met. And here's Dee here. Say hi to everyone, Dee.
Hey. Hi.
And you live in?
South Korea?
Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Dee again, because even though she's very a young woman, and
I'm not that young.
she's lived a pretty interesting life so far, more interesting than her mother anyway. That would be me. So we're going to talk about her graduate study. So this young lady here decided to get as far away from her mother as possible. Of course, her undergrad at the time, we lived in the state of Washington, and she decided to go out to Hawaii for her undergrad. And then for grad school, I was hoping that she'll be closer to me, but ended up she went to UK. So she started her study in University of Manchester in the fall of 2018. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Dee, go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong. So you applied for 4 grad schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are USC in California,
Yeah.
Cambridge in the UK, University College of London, and University of Manchester. So you got
Yeah.
accepted for 3 of them. So the
Mm-hmm.
only one that you didn't get accepted was Cambridge, which is their loss, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. So I was hoping that you would go to USC because it was just a quick plane ride away from California, but you decided to go to the UK. So this is the background of what happened at the time. So you ended up, University of Manchester. And
Mm-hmm.
why did you choose University of Manchester, say over USC? And
Because I
versus
didn't
University College of London, right?
I mean like USC was my backup. Like I didn't want to live in the US, low-key. Because I don't know. I never lived abroad or I never went to school abroad before, so I just thought like, oh, maybe they'll be like she's not good enough. She's American. Because, American education system isn't that great. So, yeah, USC was my backup
Well,
school.
but for university, it's not really that bad of a reputation. We heard about high school, and honestly, I felt like it's pretty easy high school here because I went to university here in the US, and I remember my freshman year, I took Economics 101, and that's the exact same textbook for my economics class when I was in 10th grade. But it took us 2 years, right, to study that 10th and
Yeah.
11th grade.
But
So,
like you're making my point exactly. That's what I'm saying though. The American high school education system is so low comparatively that even university is not as hard or not as
hmm.
rigorous, I guess. I went to BYU Hawaii. Like BYU is already not that hard of a school, but then BYU Hawaii, people are chill there, like they're relaxed. You know, I told you my freshman year writing class, I was shocked at how poorly written people would write their essays and the fact that I was the only one the teacher didn't make rewrite the essay. So for me, okay, well, I'm smarter than these guys, but am I actually smart enough to get into grad school? So that was my
Okay.
thinking. And then I chose the University of Manchester over University College London because Manchester is a more affordable place to live. And in terms of, I guess, school reputation for anthropology, they're only one different ranking in the UK. So in that
What do
instance,
you
that
mean?
doesn't matter.
So what do you mean about different rankings? Talk a little bit about
So
that.
every school in the world, depending on like whatever program you're looking at, has a different ranking. And it's
Hmm.
just a study done by like College Board and other like institutions where they will rank the course based on like how comprehensive it is, how rigorous it is, how successful its graduates are. Anyways, in the UK, University College London is ranked number 3, and I think University of
Mm.
Manchester is ranked number 4, or it was at the time. And so for me, okay, that doesn't matter to me. 3 versus 4, whatever. Um, but yeah, so just because Manchester was more affordable than London, and I don't know, I kind of feel like it's cliche to be I'm moving to London. I don't know. Anyways,
So actually, you kind of answered my next question because my next question was if you get to choose again today, would you choose the same one? And do you still think you're made the right choices? And it
well
sounds
that
like you would still do the same thing, right?
well it depends. If I'm choosing today as in like me
Mm-hmm.
right now, or
Yep.
me like if I go back to my future self, would
How
I
about
still,
you
not my
right?
future
How
self, my
about you
past
right
self?
now? So let's say, because at the time, I think the only after you graduated, you always work with children and you loved working with children, and you do now as well. But you also did an internship at the Smithsonian right after you
Mhm.
graduated, right, for 2.5 months, and I think I remember you loved it, and I think you still have some fond memories of it, right? And so that was the only experience you had. So you made that choice. So let's say you did not do grad school then, you went to Korea and you're in Korea and learned, worked with children. Your current self, what would you
Well,
have
if it's my
chosen?
current self, I wouldn't do grad school. In this
Really?
economy, in this world, in Trump's world, I would not do grad school. Cause like for me, like yes, the experience was great. Like I learned a lot of things and I was able to like become a better person. But everything that I've experienced between then and now has like given me like kind of the same sense of growth as a person. Obviously further along. But I don't know. I don't think I would choose to go to grad school now if I hadn't gone back then. Maybe 10 years in the future, but I don't know. Because I'm trying to think about who I am right now and the experiences that I've had and if that would fit into it or not. Again, it's hard to say because if I hadn't gone then, I would be a different person now, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. But so you still think that at the time Manchester was the right choice,
Yeah.
academically and fitting better in your life. Oh,
Yeah,
that's good. So there's
100%.
one thing you don't have regrets. A lot of people have a lot of regrets in life. So you have one thing check off your list that you're not regretting.
I
You're
mean,
too young to think about that.
I
So,
was no, I was gonna say I feel like I don't have any regrets at all because the things that happened, oh, that was cringy, or oh, I wish I could do it better. It already happened. I can't change it. So let go of it, you know? So in that case, I don't have regrets. I can look back
hmm
and be that was cringy. I wish it didn't happen that way, but it happened that way and I can't change it. So I might as well just move on with my life, you know, and not think
okay.
about it anymore.
So, I want to ask you a little bit about your program. I mean, at the time you told me a little bit about your program, your cohorts, your friends, and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
let me ask you this more in a method methodological way.
Methodical.
Methodical way. Sorry,
Yeah.
methodical way. Okay, English is not my first language, so I conjure that together. But anyway, so what percentage of your cohorts were from the UK, and how about the rest? Do you recall all the people in your
I would say like
class?
20% were international.
Okay, so you got a pretty
Like
big.
like I remember there was 3 Americans. There was
Mm-hmm.
a girl from Japan. There were a couple, maybe 4 or 5 girls from China, 2 boys from
Mm-hmm.
China. My friend Steven, who is technically from the Caribbean, even though he has British passport.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but I think the rest were from the UK, and
So,
maybe there was like 40 of us, 30 or 40 of us.
okay, so it's a pretty big program for your year, isn't it?
Um, I mean, we sat around a conference table for most of our classes, or in a smaller lecture hall that we didn't necessarily fill up. So,
Oh, really?
but my program was kind of different in the sense there were 2 tracks. So the students in my track weren't always with the other students in the other track. So I don't know, would you consider us all one? Because we're all one under the same department, but we did like separate fields of anthropology.
So the tracks is based on the field of anthropology.
Yeah, so there's two tracks, or there were two tracks when I was there. I don't know if it's still the same, but it was social anthropology, which is the human interactions, and
Mm-hmm.
then visual anthropology, which is experiencing anthropology through art or film, storytelling
That's
kind of
you,
stuff.
right?
No, no, no.
That's
I
you.
did social anthropology.
Wait, your thesis.
So again, in the of anthropology, there's two main tracks, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then as a I'm not quite sure about the visual anthropology track because I wasn't that, but like in the social anthropology track, you have to pick an emphasis. And I think there were
Oh,
four. There was migration studies, biological sciences, visual art, like
oh,
visual
okay.
anthropology, which was my emphasis in social anthropology. And then there was one more. I can't remember what it was, but there was one
Okay.
more. So,
Okay. So within the track there's still emphasis. Okay, got it.
yeah.
Okay. So this is what you did. So let's talk a little bit about your kind of day-to-day life and stuff. And the I remember taking you to the airport. I remember getting upset at what airline was it? I think it went bankrupt, Condor or something. Something like that. Some of these small airline. I remember I was mad because your luggage was overweight and I was trying to pay for it. And they said they didn't take credit card. I had to run all the way down to the ATM and handed them cash. And I swear that counter guy from the airline, he just took my cash, probably pocketed it. And no wonder that airline got bankrupt. I'm sorry. I'm just like really pissed about it still. Because every time I think about it, I seriously think that guy pocketed the money. Anyway. Um, so you got there, and I remember contacting you, and your phone, you were only on Wi-Fi. And I remember you went to the store to get all the bedding and stuff on your own and try to Uber and things like that. Was it a surprise? What did you have to do to get settled the first day? What was it like?
Well, like trying to remember cuz like I showed up to so I already had like my dorm set basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I showed up to the dorm, and in the office you had to like check in, and then they gave you like your keys and they told you where your room would be. And like in my room, this was actually really nice. The university provided, I don't know if they did it, I think, I don't know if it was just for the international students, but they provided us with a box, and in the box had a tote bag. It had a pay as you go
Oh,
SIM card for our phones. It had instructions about how to set up a bank account, how to attach, if you're getting student loans, how to do that with your bank account. It had a campus map, how to get your ID, all this stuff. So it's not like they just were, you're adults, figure it out, use the website. You know, I feel a lot of US universities are like that, where they're like,
mm,
oh, here's a packet. Everything else in your life you figure out, like phone, bank, whatever, figure that out yourself, right? But in the UK, it was very easy, I would say. Um, yeah. And I was in grad school housing, so I don't know how different it is for an undergrad, but basically, like everyone who was in my building and in my apartment was a grad student.
so you lived in the dorms the whole time you studied there. You never lived off campus, have you?
Well, I mean, technically my dorm was off campus. So University of Manchester has how do I explain this? It's kind of like NYU where the campus is in part of the city.
In the
It's in the
city.
middle.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So they don't have their own separate campus. So all of the housing are just essentially apartment buildings that they own. And then they will put the students in them. A lot of the housing is actually quite far from the university. It's actually in like what's considered in American terms a suburb.
Mm.
People would have to take the bus basically. I
Oh,
was fortunate because I was in a grad school housing that was only a 10-minute walk from the main campus. So I just walked every day to school.
okay. Okay, so that's not bad. Um, so, so I remember you were trying to get Wi-Fi so that you can call Uber or something outside of the store, and you told me you have a bunch of stuff, and you had to return some because you couldn't carry it all by yourself. So was it before you got the SIM card? Um, put in your phone before you went shopping?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't even set up. I don't know what I was thinking. I know better now, but I don't even think I knew. I didn't even set it up. I didn't even look at it. I was like, "Oh, a SIM card, cool." And that was it. And then after that whole fiasco, maybe I should figure out this SIM card thing and put it in my phone, you know?
Okay.
So,
So you're just basically holding a bunch of stuff and trying to get back to the dorm.
yeah, I think I had 8 IKEA-sized bags. Online, it said Manchester had a bunch of free Wi-Fi everywhere in the city. So I was like, I'll be fine. Whatever. Yeah, no. I needed a SIM card.
Because you just had to return the stuff you bought because you can't even get back to your dorms.
Yeah, like literally cities that say they have free Wi-Fi everywhere. Yeah, they have Wi-Fi, but does it work? No. So it's spotty at
No.
best. Every city that I've been to that has been a free Wi-Fi city, it's just been, what is this? This isn't Wi-Fi, you know? So,
Well, it's good to know, huh? So you talked about they give you a package and everything is pretty easy to set up. I remember you complained a little bit about the banking, or am I imagining that?
yeah, the UK banking system is weird. But I think my complaint wasn't from the UK banking. I think it was transferring money between my
Huh.
UK account and my US account. And I think it was our US bank was charging me ridiculous amounts to send money
Mm.
to the point where I was like, what the heck? So actually, because of that, I looked into like an online bank, digital bank, and that's what I use now because it's so much cheaper. Like I think the fees that I had back then were $30 per transaction, where the fees I have now on my digital bank is 48 cents.
But you don't really transfer money from your American banks anymore, right?
No, no. So I'll send money from my Korean bank account to this
Mm.
like online bank account and it turns it to like USD. And I use it to pay student loans, pay my credit card. So yeah. But the one that I have now is great because like I actually wish I had this in the UK because it has bank details for like the US, the UK, EU. So I wouldn't
Mm.
have had to go to the UK bank and set up a bank account, if that makes sense. And that was actually a
Oh,
really hard process as an international student.
to set up a bank account in the UK.
Yeah.
Now, why is it hard?
Just because, so in order to get my student loans, I needed a
Mm.
bank account in the UK.
Yeah.
But in order to set up the bank account, I needed a certain amount to put into the account. And I was like,
How do you get the money there?
right. So then I had to transfer money from my US account. And then I feel like I'm losing so much money doing this. You know,
Mm.
I think there was also another thing where it was just so tedious because I had to go wait in 30 different lines just because I wasn't a UK citizen. And I had to fill out
Huh.
like so many different forms. And I feel like this is so difficult. I don't know. It
Well,
was the
your
first time I had
mother,
ever done banking stuff by
yeah,
myself
of
though.
course.
So
Yeah, when your mother first came to the US, I did it the old school way. I brought with me a bank draft. So I have the paper money, but I don't think anybody do that anymore because it's just so risky, right? You could have just dropped it in the toilet or something.
yeah, or like you can lose it or someone can just like
Right.
yank it from you.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Well, so that's good. So now let's talk a little bit about your day-to-day life. So you talk a little bit about your student housing. It's nice. And is there something that surprised you in your student housing? And either, you love or you hate, or
I
both?
mean, the room itself was standard. It was a bed and a desk and a bathroom. I had my own bathroom, which was nice. Not
Hmm.
all of the student housing had your own bathroom. I'm pretty sure that they reserved those rooms for grad students anyways because we were older. Um,
You
I
need a
think
little
what
bit more
surprised me
privacy.
was the UK setup. Because in a dorm in the US, you would have bedrooms and then a shared living room or kitchen, and it just looks like a normal
Mm,
apartment. But in the
right.
UK, you open the door and there's just one long hallway with a bunch of doors. And the doors go to the rooms, and then one of the doors goes into a kitchen living room. It looked like a
Like a
shitty
slumlord.
hostel. No, like when you walk into like a shitty hostel and it's just plywood doors. That's what it looked like. Obviously, the doors
I've
weren't
never been to a
plywood, but it was
hostel.
that color. Okay, okay. People who have been to a hostel will know. A shitty hostel. That's kind of what it felt like when I first walked in. And then I was like, okay, this is a college dorm. I'm an adult in a college dorm kind of vibe. But that was surprising to me that it wasn't a regular apartment because I feel like even college dorms that are apartment style in the US look like apartments. This did not. It felt more like the college dorm with a common room, but there were only 4 of us that shared the kitchen
Mm.
living room. And I think another thing that
So,
shocked me was that I had male roommates. I had 2, and I had never had male roommates, so I was like, how does this work? I know my room has a lock, but also I don't know you. So,
mm,
yeah.
well, good thing you don't have to share a bathroom,
Yeah.
right?
That was a
So,
positive.
oh, so you have your roommate from Spain, who's a female, and I remember there was
Mhm.
one guy from the UK, and the other guy is
He
all
he
from
was
South
from
America?
Colombia. Colombia, yeah.
Colombia. Well, I know you're good friends with your roommate from Spain.
Mhm.
But did you socialize with the other two guys?
The guy from the UK never talked to us. He had a girlfriend and was doing his own thing. He sometimes would say hi to us, but he was never around. Obviously, because he's from the UK, so he knew people, he had friends. He was like, whatever, off. The guy from Colombia, we would talk once in a while whenever he was in the apartment, but I never hung out with him. The only time I, well, hung out with him was one day it snowed, and it was the first time that he and the roommate from Spain had seen snow. So I was like, let's go build snowmen. And they were like, huh? And so then I showed them how to build a snowman, and we built snowmen. And that was the only time I hung out with him. So,
Okay. So what did they all study?
the guy from the UK studying to be a history teacher. He was really into
Oh, with a
Marxism.
master's degree?
Yeah. He was really into Marxism. Really. He would visit the statue and take pictures and that kind of stuff. So very into that. Which, whatever, to each their own. The guy from Colombia, he was studying, I can't remember. He's very smart though. He was doing a master's that was a hands-on lab. And it's something about engineering. I can't really remember because I remember when he told me, I was like, oh, okay, so you're really smart and I understand nothing you're saying. Maybe maybe it was something about satellites. I kind of vaguely remember him
Oh,
saying something about satellites. Um
okay.
and then my roommate from Spain, she was doing a biomedical
Mhm.
master's.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
was I was in an apartment with people who were oh way smarter than me.
Including the Marxists?
I mean, I feel like you have to be kind of smart. I don't know, maybe we were the same level, but he definitely, you have to have really good critical thinking skills to be a history teacher, at least to be an
Mm.
effective history teacher. And every conversation I had with him, he did seem he knew what he was talking about. It wasn't that fake, like male bravado. He was genuinely interested in the topics that he was discussing and interested in the truth.
Good. Good, good. So, so you got on with your roommates, so that's good. So your other friends in your cohorts, were their apartments set up the same way, kind of like a sketchy hostel, or just yours is like that?
So one of my cohorts, she actually, I feel so bad for her. She was from the US. She actually got the short end of the stick, where since there wasn't enough grad student housing, or no, there were too few grad students and too many undergrads, they stuck her in undergrad housing. So she was in like a single room. It was like a hotel, like single rooms and then one big kitchen that they had to share. And so she had
Oh.
to like see and interact with like, and she had shared bathrooms. So she had to do that with undergrads. Yeah. Because I
Gross.
think I was like 23 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like 23, 24. So like, doing that with like 18-year-olds, like when you're like 23, 22, 23. Now that I'm 30, I feel like that's not even that far away from 18. But when you're that age and you see an 18-year-old, you're like, you just left your mother's house. And I've been outside in the outside world for longer than you. Why are you acting like that? You know what I mean? So I feel
Yeah.
bad for her that she had to deal with that. And then the other girls in my program, the Chinese girls, I remember one time we had a Chinese New Year's party and I went to their apartment, and I still think that I was fortunate because I had 4 roommates and we each had our own bathroom and we shared a small kitchen living room. But the Chinese girls in my program, they had, I want to say like 10 girls to a
In the same
kitchen.
apartment?
Yeah, so they had like a larger, it was similar to my setup, but larger. But they had 10 girls and they had 2 shared fridges. They had a really large living room. I think they had a shared bathroom too, but it was just among the 10 of them. Whereas the other American girl, she had 20 people on a floor sharing the same bathroom. And then the kitchen was shared by 3 floors or something like that. Yeah.
Wow. So you
Yeah.
got pretty lucky. You're pretty lucky in life, usually.
Well, I think also cuz like when we signed up for housing, you could give like a preference. I
Mm.
I applied pretty early because I feel like I'm trying to remember when I applied
Because
it
you're a
was
Capricorn. That's why you
yeah.
apply early.
Yeah, cuz UK applications are concurrent rolling, so you can apply any time of the year and then when you get accepted, you'll just start in the next
Mm,
like the next cycle. But I
right.
applied, I think I applied in the winter, got accepted in the spring, but I applied for the fall. So I was one of the first people to choose my housing for the fall. If I had gone in the summer, then I probably wouldn't have gotten such a good room, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Um, so you just a little bit of background as well for the viewer listener. You are all about speed. You got done with your undergrad degree in what, 2.5 years, right?
I
About
think it
because you
was
went straight
3.
every summer. Not quite 3.
Yeah, like 2.5. Maybe
Yeah,
I think it's 3 minus 1 semester. So I
right.
did it in 9 semesters.
2 and 3/4. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah,
thing is
yeah.
that you didn't even do a lot of AP classes that to transfer the credit either.
I mean, I took
And then
AP classes in high school, but I didn't transfer any of the credit.
right, right. And then your graduate school, because usually master's degree is 2 years. And I think you only were there for 1 year and you came home and finished up your thesis. And then we all flew there for your graduation. So you did it pretty much just like all the classes you're done in 1 year. So that's also pretty quick.
Well, so that was another reason why I went to the UK was because usually master's programs in the US are 2 to 3 years and in the UK they're
Hmm.
1 to 2 years. And I was like, 1 year, let's go. I'm going to do that cuz I don't want to waste my time. So,
Yeah, but well, these are really interesting. So actually, I have a lot of questions still. So we're gonna do a part 2. So this is all for today. So we're gonna learn a lot more about Dee's UK experience in the next episode. And until then, I'm Ronit on the East Coast. And since you're a guest, you don't have to say I'm Dana or Dee from in Korea. But we are hopelessly unedited. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
I